So help us understand what his game must be at this point. You know, the speculation about whether he would go into Ukraine or not is done. We've seen him do it. And with his 40-mile-long convoy, it's only going to get worse from here. What do you think his end goal is at this point?
What we are seeing now is the last chapter of Putin's war in Ukraine, and even a larger war on democracy and on our civilization. And it hasn't started recently. It's as long as Putin is reigning in Russia. Let's not forget, Putin claimed in early days of his rule in Russia that the collapse of the Soviet Union was the greatest geopolitical catastrophe of the 20th century. And at one point, he believed that it was his messianic role to restore it. And then he went even further. 15 years ago, in February 2007, in Munich, at Security Conference in Europe, he laid down his vision for the future of Europe and the world, speaking about so-called spheres of influence, which meant in his language that we had to go back to the 19th century world where big guys, big countries, were in the position to dictate to their smaller and weaker neighbors how to run their domestic and foreign affairs. And Putin was not just talking. He backed his words by his actions. In 2008, he attacked the Republic of Georgia, annexing part of its territory. And the free world swallowed it. He was very active in the world stage, supporting every dictator who was in danger. He played instrumental role in saving Bashar al-Assad in 2013, using Russian Air Force to carpet bomb Aleppo and other rebel strongholds in Syria. In 2014, he decided that he was strong enough to attack Ukraine directly and annex Crimea, and incited violence in the eastern Ukraine that led to a short war, and part of Ukrainian territory had been de facto annexed as well, though he failed with his main objective to create so-called New Russia, cutting Ukraine in pieces and creating an unbroken line of territories ranging from Lugansk to Odessa. And he also was never shy of buying favors for Western politicians and business people and personalities, and of course assassinating his political opponents both inside Russia and outside of Russia. And the problem is that he never paid for his crimes. And seeing no consequences for his actions, he eventually believed that it was time for him to move against Ukraine most decisively. Because he never recognized Ukraine as an independent state. Russian propaganda for the last 8 years had been diminishing Ukraine as the failed state that was just waiting for Russia to come in and restore what they call historical justice. And we all know he has been preparing his invasion of Ukraine in plain sight. It was not that his attack from three directions, from north, south, and east against Ukraine a week ago was a surprise attack. He even brought his Pacific Fleet to the Black Sea. And again, the free world wasn't silent, but nobody, or very few people, took him seriously. I've been saying for many years that while Putin was our problem in Russia, at one point, as every dictator, he would be everybody's problem. And now what we're seeing, and let's not deceive ourselves, this is already World War III. And this is not just a war against Ukraine. Vladimir Putin is attacking the very foundation of the world we used to live since World War II. And if he succeeds in Ukraine, all bets are off. And for those who think that we can escape confrontation with Putin, look, read history books. And that's why I think that the measures that are being taken, they are important, but still more can be done. But the most tragic, Megan, portion of these sanctions 8 years ago, even 6 months ago, could have saved thousands and thousands of lives if Putin believed that the world would act. But unfortunately, it was a failure after failure. And now we're dealing with a mad dictator and Russian army is shifted from so-called liberation mission, as it was originally proclaimed, to a total dissemination of Ukrainian cities, because Putin is absolutely getting crazy. Since his original plan of taking over Kyiv in 3 days and installing puppet government and going back to negotiating table with America and Europe, this plan miserably failed.
There's so much brilliance in there. I mean, so many good points. Let me start with one of the last ones. Do you believe he's a madman now? Do you believe he's lost his own mental faculties in a way that we haven't seen prior to right now?
Absolutely. Look, he's in power for 22 years. It's a long time, even for the most intelligent person with the noblest intentions. That could be very damaging. And Putin was not one of these kind of guys. So his education came from the streets of Leningrad and from KGB school. For the last few years, he has been increasingly isolated. As every dictator, he is relying on a very small, ever-shrinking inner circle. We know that he doesn't trust internet and open sources, which means he relies on the information brought to him by this inner circle. And his vision of the world is outdated. And also, we know that Putin believes. It's not I'm saying, I'm just simply quoting what he has been saying for years. He believes that violence it's a necessary tool to rule, whether his own subjects or imposing his will to other countries. Yes. That's why we should not be surprised that his favorite historical characters are Joseph Stalin and Ivan the Terrible. That's the way he sees himself, a man above the law, a man who is the law. And now he thinks that he can do whatever, because he feels that with one finger pushing the red button, he can destroy the entire world. He said it already. If we have a war, it's about a year ago, they all will die like dogs, and we will go to heaven. It's just it shows the mental instability of this person. And I've been again saying it all along that forget about Putin. It's not about him. It's about sending message to people around him, those who haven't lost their mind and value their lives and their well-being. And only now, I think the free world came to the conclusion that we are dealing with a madman. Imagine Adolf Hitler in bunker, in Berlin bunker in 1945. Imagine if he had this red button. Do you have any doubts that he would push it?
Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.